Michael Saylor predicts $8 million Bitcoin as MicroStrategy announces plans to raise an additional $200 million to buy more Bitcoin, citing Bitcoin as an economic virus for good as economic chaos continues to grow. Meanwhile, Larry Fink urges G7 leaders to consider a new system as our debt problem grows out of control. And as of yesterday, Blackrock's leadership has hinted at the future being public permissionless blockchains. Bullish for Bitcoin? Welcome to Bitcoin Daily. I'm Dante Cook, head of Swan Business. If yesterday's news about MicroStrategy raising $500 million in order to buy more Bitcoin wasn't bullish, what about just this morning, them announcing $200 million more to that raise? Today, at Bitcoin Prague, where the title of his talk was called 21 Rules of Bitcoin, Saylor predicted an $8 million Bitcoin, citing it as an economic virus for good in the world, amidst all of the chaos going on around us. Whenever an announcement like this drops, people are always in awe of how Michael Saylor can continue to be so bullish on Bitcoin. But this is just the game theory and things that Bitcoiners have been saying for years, playing out right in front of our eyes. So let me give us a few more reasons from news that happened just yesterday on why we should continue to be as bullish as Michael Saylor on Bitcoin moving forward. And it's not just Michael Saylor being this bullish about Bitcoin. $725 billion asset management firm Bernstein had analysts predicting $500,000 Bitcoin by 2029 and $1 million Bitcoin by 2033. So why do these people continue to be so bullish? There are two worlds out there, the proof of work and hard asset world and the proof of stake, trust me world. And they're continuing to separate and break ties at almost every point where these two worlds exist right now. After a meeting with Zelensky, Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman says that he won't be able to attend the G7 summit this year, citing religious reasons, but also reaffirmed his attendance at the BRICS summit held by Vladimir Putin in Russia later this year. Speaking of Vladimir Putin, who I'm not advocating for when I share this piece of news, initiated a proposal for the first public ceasefire in the Ukraine-Russia war. While on the other side, just yesterday, Joe Biden, along with the current administration, doubled down on the bilateral security agreement between Ukraine and the United States, saying that the United States was going to double down on supporting Ukraine with more aid and defense spending against Russia. Which, by the way, where is this money coming from? And we wonder why our debt continues to skyrocket. Back to the G7 summit, where the Crown Prince is not in attendance. Larry Fink, CEO of Blackrock, was in attendance, and in a roundtable discussion, he is urging leaders to consider the debt problem as one of the major inhibitors to growth globally, and that we might need to build an entirely new infrastructure, a new system.
All of us are staring down a growth dilemma. Whether we solve it or not, it's a significant economic fork in the road for our countries. Today, the G7 average debt to GDP is 129%. No matter how much we tax, how much we cut or reduce that debt, it will not be enough. The only way we can achieve this future of growth is by truly growing out of it. But just growth is becoming more important because we need to be focusing on our fiscal health. It is also becoming much more difficult to achieve. Within 25 years, most of the G7 countries will be on demographic downslope. Working age population will decline. The ceiling on growth will get lower and lower. This is why building new infrastructure is critical, especially through public-private partnerships. Infrastructure investments is a counterforce to the high debt, low growth economies.
Larry says that ultimately we can't get our way out of this system, or that there's no amount of debt that we're going to be able to remove from the current system. We all know this. He's just saying it out loud. Meanwhile, just yesterday at the Coinbase State of the Crypto Summit, BlackRock CIO said, just a few years ago, we thought that the future of blockchains would be private permission blockchains. We were wrong. The future will be public permissionless blockchains. This is sort of like the 90s when people thought intranets were going to win. Internets that were being built by private companies and only to be used privately. in favor of the internet, which is an open source of information that everyone could use. Companies that invested millions of dollars into intranets ultimately had R&D write-offs and never saw the value. Because fundamentally, humans want transparency. We want openness. We want access. We want the truth. We want the game to not be rigged in favor of some people versus other people. And we all, at the end of the day, seek justice and fairness. And that is why Bitcoin should be on everybody's radar as the future of the Internet of Money versus private permission blockchains that crypto is offering. Here's a side tangent because I'm a sports guy and I thought that this was pretty cool. In light of what I'm talking about, the reason why people want open permissionless blockchains is because the people with the most power or the ability to rewrite the rules always rewrite history. In their latest Super Bowl rings, the Kansas City Chiefs wrote the winning play that they won with on the inside of their Super Bowl ring. That's cool when we're talking about Super Bowl rings and being able to retell history. But it's not so cool when we're talking about our money and what we store our economic energy, time, and value into. With Bitcoin, our chances at winning at the casino are all the same. And what's actually really scary is that our proof of stake leaders currently don't see a world without free money and free debt and money printing. Latest case in point, Loretta Mester, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, which isn't federal, by the way, and we didn't elect her, but that's not the point, says that we cannot wait too long before cutting interest rates. Debt, inflation, and money printing are like alcoholism or drug addiction. In the short term, when you use them, the benefits are really good. But in the long term, the effects are really bad. But when you cut them off or wean yourself off of alcohol and drugs, in the short term, the effects seem pretty bad. You have withdrawal symptoms from all of the dopamine that you used to have before. But in the long term, we're healthier, we're better, and we remove ourselves from this hamster wheel of chaos. The same is true for our economic system. Economist Milton Friedman says this perfectly.
Inflation is just like alcoholism. In both cases, when you start drinking or when you start printing too much money, the good effects come first. The bad effects only come later. That's why, in both cases, there's a strong temptation to overdo it, to drink too much and to print too much money. When it comes to the cure, it's the other way around. When you stop drinking or when you stop printing money, the bad effects come first and the good effects only come later. That's why it's so hard to persist with the cure.
In light of our current system, even our current leaders who benefited the most from this proof of stake system, like Larry Fink from Blackrock, are realizing that the system has to come to an end. We cannot print our way out of this dilemma that we've gotten ourselves into. We need to build new infrastructure, start new, start fresh. And when we start new and start fresh, do we want that to be private permission blockchains where the rules can be rewritten by the winners or the people with the most power? Or do we want open, permissionless blockchains like Bitcoin, ones that we can all use, ones that we can all value from, that institute the fairness, transparency, and justice that we all desire? I think we know which ones we all want, and that's bullish for Bitcoin. With that, we're signing off for today. This is Dante Cook with Swan.com, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We love you guys. We appreciate what you guys do. Great fathers are what's needed to fix so many of the societal issues that we have currently today. I'll see you guys next week. Happy stacking.